Welcome to TAMAPTA. I'm Debbie Gordon-Rubin. When times are hard and people are unsure about their country and identity, there are people throughout Canada who are seeing the brighter side of things. Joni Hollis of Winnipeg last June decided to hold a neighborhood party and meet and bring the neighborhood back into the street where she lives. Afterwards, she received many postcards from people all over Canada. The committee for Canada's 125th birthday approached her and asked her if she'd like to coordinate one on a national scale. We spoke to her about the National Neighborhood Party, which is to be held on June 14th, 1992. Joni, when you first thought of the idea, what did the neighborhood party mean to you?
You know, this idea came to me over a period of time. I had been traveling and living overseas for 14 months as a teacher over in Wales, and I had the chance to travel around the world and around Europe, etc. And I crossed some 22 borders with a Canadian passport. And everyone said, "Oh, are you ever lucky to come from Canada? It's such a beautiful country, and it's so diverse and so tolerant and generous." And, you know, I developed this identity as a Canadian living outside of Canada. And then I came home at the time when the Oka crisis was on and when the Meech Lake Accord had fallen, and there's all these images of intolerance in the media. And also, you know, in my day-to-day life and with people I met, people saying, "Oh, look in Quebec, the French hate the English hate the French." Or, you know, that awful incident when we were throwing stones at the people leaving Oka. And I got really concerned about what was happening in this country, and are we a tolerant people? And as I became more aware, I just thought, well, they say Canadians don't know each other well, and that's part of what contributes to intolerance. And I thought, well, how do you get to know people better? And how can we get to know people better across the country if you don't start in your own neighborhood? And I looked down the street, and I didn't know my neighbors very well. And it's a very multicultural neighborhood. It's every representation of an ethnic group and cultural group and Aboriginal group in Canada living on my street. And I thought, if you want to start somewhere, start in your own backyard. So I invited everybody over to a party to get to know them better.
How did your first neighborhood party turn out?
Oh, it was great. We had a super time. I mean, it was fun preparing it, and it was kind of difficult because we didn't know each other very well, and I think people were a little shy at first. So for our first party, there was a group of about 3 or 4 of us who organized it and put it together, and I kept knocking on doors and asking people to come by. But not a lot of people will ever turn down an invitation to come to a party, so that worked out well. But what I did at the same time was I phoned friends across the country, people who I hadn't seen, in some of them in 10 years, and asked them if they would do the same, because I thought it would be really nice to have a real positive image of people getting together and putting their differences aside and toasting all of our neighbors at the same time, which they did, and that was really fun and successful. And to know how many parties we had, we asked people to send a postcard from their neighborhood with their good wishes addressed to all of their other neighbors across Canada. And by the end of it, we had received over 250 postcards with people's good wishes representing all these beautiful areas of Canada with really positive messages about our country.
From the postcards that you received, what did some of them have to say?
Actually, some of my favorite are from the territories themselves. They come from a bunch of school kids in Baker Lake. And, oh, they were great. And they were hand drawings of the front part of the postcard, and things such as kids writing, "I like to go to the land and hunt ptarmigan." And they were just beautiful drawings, you know, of, now, what's the name of I know the landmarking?
Oh,
Inukshuk. Yeah, Inukshuk. Lots of Inukshuks. And at that time, I didn't know who Inukshuk was, but I do now. So I learned something from those kids who sent me that. And it was interesting because other postcards came from some kids in downtown Toronto. And of course, the drawings on their postcards were so different. They were showing the Toronto Maple Leafs. But when you turn the postcards over, the messages were very similar. And they were saying, you know, I like being Canadian, and it's really, you know, they love their country, or it's a beautiful place, and we want to be a caring country. And I found that really interesting. And beyond that, we received postcards from one grandmother in Quebec, which was really beautiful, written in French, and saying, in return to the National Neighborhood Day, you're welcome in our neighborhood. And there was actually an accompanying map of 3 rivers with where the person lived, saying, come and visit, you know, which was really nice. And I think, you know, this is a lot of the goodwill that does exist in our country, and we really have to promote that, you know, more sometimes than the negative that we promote.
On March 9th, 1992, Joni met with interested people in Inuvik at the town hall and explained the neighborhood party and shared some of the comments she has received.
My brother is an artist and a teacher, and I twisted his arm and said, look, I really think I should do this national block party. Will you draw a brochure for me? So we sat down and we spent about 2 weeks and he did the brochure. And that's what last year I used that one black and white brochure was photocopied and passed on to, we received, I'm sure there's thousands of people involved in last year's get-together. But from the parties, so we know how many parties take place, they would send a postcard of their neighborhood or their region with their good wishes on the back. And my brother Joe, what he did was he drew his actual street. He told me he sat in his car smoking a cigarette and hunching over and drawing his house to scale on each right down the block. And then the neighbors who came signed their good wishes right beside wherever their house was. And they mailed that into us. In any event, what we've done is taken that one street in Winnipeg, and of course is more or less a geographic drawing of Canada in the background. But the other postcards that we received last year, over 250 came in from all over Canada and overseas. Some of them are such as the book over here from Hong Kong, where a group of Canadians living overseas got together on a junk trip, and it's a boat, a yacht in Hong Kong, and signed their good wishes and had a celebration. One from Baker Lake was beautiful. I liked myself because I'm Canadian. Or my favorite actually from Baker Lake, I mean being in the territories, was welcome to Baker Lake, the center of Canada. So that's, you know, what we're trying to do is just get people to join in this celebration. What we're going to do with all these postcards, I don't know, because if we spread the message well enough, we're going to have thousands upon thousands, and we'll have to make some kind of display. My only goal is that we will return these good wishes from the people to the people of Canada. And how we do that yet, I don't have that answer, but my insomnia will come back, and I'm sure with it will the answer to what to do with it. But we will somehow, whether it's by a book or whether it's we'll distribute it via the media, or we'll just distribute them and send them back to a bunch of communities across the country. We'll do something to that effect. And finally, I should mention, just to give credit where it's due, that we have sponsors for this event, and one of them is Canada Dry, and so you're welcome to take some of the Canada Dry with you when you leave. And Canadian Airlines is a sponsor, and they're helping out on this tour for Mary Andre and I. And of course, Canada 125 is the official sponsor. This is a national project of Canada 125 as part of celebrations. And you're also encouraged, should you wish to register the event with Canada 125 as an official event as part of the celebrations. But of course, that's entirely up to you. The main thing is that you get together with your neighbors in your neighborhoods.
What was your response when the coordinator for Canada's 125th birthday approached you and asked you to coordinate the National Neighborhood Party?
Well, I was shocked at first because they showed up at my school one day without much pre-notice. I didn't know what they were coming for. And it was, you know, it's obviously an honor to have someone believe in what you've done in the past is really worthwhile, and giving you the opportunity to come across the country. I mean, I never would have thought I would be up north right now, being able to speak to people, to really, you know, invite more people to join in this idea. So it was really wonderful to have that opportunity. And that I miss my students from teaching, so I had to say goodbye to my job for a while, but I can always go back. This is only temporary.
Mm-hmm. Where have you been traveling to promote your idea, and how have you been going about promoting it?
Well, we're using a simple approach, and we're starting off just using, it sounds too simple, but using word of mouth and asking people if you like the idea, tell your neighbors, tell your family, and tell your friends. And we have a very simple brochure that we pass around. And I'm starting up north, actually. Thought it would be the nicest place to start off in. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend, Mary Andre, who's from Quebec, and she's helping to promote in Eastern Canada. And she's starting in the Maritimes. And over the next 3 months, we're going to go from one end of the country to the other and crisscross and share stories of the good things that are happening from the different parts of the country.
So this is your first place you're traveling to?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
How has it been going?
Well, you know, the one thing about the neighborhood party is that people they think about it and say, yeah, I like that, because I think it's very simple and it has a meaningful outcome. And particularly up here in the north, people have been really friendly, and it's been really nice. My only regret is I haven't had as much time to actually sit down and meet people, you know. It's sort of been going from one meeting to the next. We're meeting at the town council, and we've sent out an invitation to a lot of the community leaders to come in and hear about the neighborhood party, so that we can tell them exactly what it's about and how it's one way to join together with Canadians all across the country as part of Canada's 125th anniversary. And I'm hoping that by speaking to the people who are in the community itself, if they sort of share ownership of this idea and take it on as their own idea, and then the people of Inuvik can participate the way that they feel best represents their own community and pass the word on themselves, so that hopefully we have a real strong representation from your community and your people here up in the north. And that's a simple message, inviting people to join in this, I don't know, it's a demonstration of goodwill.
And when do you expect the party to actually happen?
It's scheduled for June 14th this year. However, if people find that June 14th isn't the best time, as long as they get together with their neighbors and friends at some time to raise a toast to all of your neighbors across the country and send us a postcard from the area you're in with your good wishes to everyone, then we know that you've participated in some way or other in acknowledging the National Neighborhood Party. And so the 14th it is, and I know it's funny, speaking to a lot of people from the north, they said, well, you know, I might be they're out hunting then, or, you know, off to the land, but you can still think of us on that day, and we'll certainly raise a toast to all of you wherever you are on that day as well.
For people in the outlying communities who want to participate in the neighborhood party, is there funding that they can receive to get things going?
Well, I think with the neighborhood party itself, the way it works and the way it was set up last year, and the way hopefully that it will continue beyond 1992, so that it becomes maybe a national tradition depending on whether people respond. It's simple in that all we're asking people is to do is get together on their own, in their own neighborhoods, and probably the only cost is dependent upon each individual area and community and how they want to get involved. And the postcard itself is so simple, so that in essence this is an event that, despite the recession and the hard times, I think people can take part in without the funding, because unfortunately I guess we're all finding it, there's less and less funding coming from the government and from other agencies. So that's it. But also, it's a good question you asked, because we're really encouraging in areas such as, for example, in Quebec City, I know that they're really interested in linking the neighborhood party to the local food banks. So people, when they get together, can collect food to take down to the, you know, the less advantaged people in the community. And in other areas, I know of a person in the Yukon who's organizing a Read Canada project to try and promote literacy amongst all of the kids in her neighborhood. And so you can certainly tie that into whatever best fits your own community. And I'm sure that, but basically that we would leave to the decision of the people who live here and who know what's best, because you know your community better than I do or anyone else.
For the Canada 125 celebration, when is that? When is that going to be on July 1st?
I guess it's year-round with Canada 125, because the July 1st is obviously the big celebration for celebrating Canada. The neighborhood party is really a celebration of each other, and the Canada 125 celebration is year-long. And people can get together in their own communities and come up with other ideas for celebrating the 125th. And that along the lines of, they have 5 themes for Canada 125, just helping each other, getting to know each other better, concern for the environment, and achievements. So if you have an activity that you'd like to put together as a Canada 125 celebration, then you can try and organize it and register with Canada 125 that way. And Sandy Christophers is from Yellowknife, and she's the community advisor for ParticipACTION Canada 125, and she'd be the person to contact in your area here. I've just met her. She's really nice and really, you know, willing to be helpful and give people information on how they can get involved.
How many communities and cities do you plan to visit across Canada?
As many as I can. So I can't put a limit on it, as much as I have energy for. But I know with ParticipACTION in Canada 125, they go into 6,000 communities across the country between now and next July. So it won't just be me spreading the word about the neighborhood party, it will be these people as well. And beyond that, we're looking for volunteers, anybody who likes this idea. So if you know of anyone, or if anybody watching for their own community says, that's a good idea, that's great, they can actually just contact the local Canada 125 advisor, who will put you in touch with us. We send out more information, a volunteer kit, and then you become part of this volunteer network of spokespeople across the country. And that's how we really hope to spread the message. And that way it's really, it's a people movement, you know. And the success is based on how many people get involved. It's what we decide as a group of people across the country.
Mm-hmm. Do you hope to have it broadcast? I remember last year watching all these people cheering each other and stuff like that. Do you hope to have something like that again?
Yeah, I do. It's not in my control, but I've had some interest actually. There's a couple of producers from Winnipeg who are interested in this neighborhood party, and we're hoping that to organize some kind of a documentary, and I've heard rumor of a documentary on Canada 125. But certainly I know that the media was really positive last year, and I'm sure they'll be involved again this year. And it would be really nice. I mean, ideally, I would love to see it shown in all communities across the country. It'd be fabulous, wouldn't it? Mm-hmm. And a real good way for us as Canadians to see and get to know other areas of the country by seeing it visually on TV. So let's hope.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add on your neighborhood party?
Well, other than saying, just for myself, as somebody who was born and raised in Winnipeg, but in the past few years I've really grown to take on a new appreciation of what being a Canadian is and my heritage. And I'm just so proud as a Canadian. If there's one thing I'm proud of, that it's the fact that we are such a diverse group of people. And there have been a lot of mistakes made in the past, and the country has a lot of problems. But I think from the people that I've met through my travels and that there's a lot of goodness and a lot of good humanity in this country. And I think that's what I like to look upon, and that's what I'm very grateful for. It's from the people I've met across the country that adds so much to what being a Canadian means to me. So I'm very thankful to be up here in the north. I'm very grateful, and you know, this is now becoming more and more a part of my own heritage now that I've traveled up here. But certainly I'm becoming, and I think in the south we're becoming more aware of the north, and it's adding a lot to what we are, mm-hmm. you know, in my own image as a Canadian.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Identity and knowing who you are is very important. Our elders say our identity begins with our language. In March of 1990, during the language conference, The Critical Stage, we talked to several delegates who attended. We'll leave you with some of their comments. Stay tuned next for Swangan, where their topic will be our language and what is being done about it.
It's a really important thing for us in Inuvialuit to come to this conference.
What comments did you get most out of in this conference?
The comments we get a lot is all the Inuvialuit, they want this not to stop, you know, because our Inuvialuit language is in critical stage. So a lot of them don't want it to be stopped. So we're being encouraged from the elders. So it's a good thing, you know.
How about the young parents that don't know how to talk American or know about culture? How they should teach the young?
I think they talk about the conference here. They talk about you know, if they know where to get themselves involved in now. That a lot of these young young mothers, they know where to put their children to how to learn their own language. So, you know, it's just like the elders are upgrading them. So it's an encouraging thing, so we don't want it to stop, and we're glad the youth are there to listen to all kinds of comments they make about our language.
Do you think that the young children and young adults should go to the Inuvialuit courses?
Yes, I do. Really encourage mostly the young mothers, if they want to, you know, learn how to understand the Inuvialuit way, their culture, they should try to attend what the conference here, what they put down on, like what programs they can get themselves involved in. I encourage them to do that.
I think it's going pretty good so far, and it'd be interesting to have adult Inuvialuit schools in each community. If they had one in the Klavik, I'd go, and I know some of the people that would go too. But it's good that they're showing more appreciation for our lifestyle.
What about if nobody starts up or nobody everybody sits here, and do you think there's enough initiative in people to get things started, or are they just sitting here and talking?
I think there's enough people here to get it started. There's more than enough. I can see in their faces that they're really interested in what we're doing. What they're doing is pretty good. They're really interested in what we feel about our language and everything.
What do you feel about the language?
What I feel about the language? I feel embarrassed because I don't even know how to speak it. I know some people could speak it, but me, I just lost. I'm lost without it. Can't communicate with my grandmother. Can't communicate with nobody. Just to the kids.
It's important what they're talking about, because as a young parent myself, I know we are at the critical stage. I don't understand any Inuvialuit, and I get a little bit of education from my daughter because she takes it in classes, and the first word she taught me was ParticipACTION, and it's so important for us young people, parents, we have, like Rosemary said, we're losing our identity, and we have to try to survive as a whole people, as you know. I think it's important. Hopefully, after we put in a committee together, and through that, at least it's a start. We'll start, you know, being more concerned about things that are happening around us, and not get so caught up in a white man's world that we forget our own. I think we have to save it.
But today, I'm married, I have children. I really would like them to learn how to speak Inuvialuit. Because someday we're going to be the leaders. We're going to be sitting around this table talking like you guys here. And I think the time to start is now.
I don't think it matters what language you're talking about. If you're not able to use that language all the time, you just can't keep it.
So the language itself has to have status in the school system. The Inuvialuit people who are in the school system have to have status. I know that's easy to say, but I think we can achieve that. if as parents we demand that that has to happen.
When someone is sick, you all pull together, you go over there, you help them, you say prayers for them, you hold their hand. Well, our language has come to that stage. If you look there, all the little people that are coming up in red, they're elders, 60-year-olds and over. The next one that goes up is blue. These are 18-year-olds to 59-year-olds who are fluent in Inuvialuit. We have 198 from the whole region. Between 18-year-olds to 60, 80, 90-year-olds, we have only 319 fluent speakers left in the whole area out of 1,519 people. I don't think we'll have space there to show you how many non-speakers we have. The next batch of non-speakers, if you look at all those, we counted all the Inuvialuit in our 5 communities. There's 1,514 little Inuvialuit up there, see? 121 are elders, 198 are 18 to 59-year-olds, and all the white ones are people that are not fluent in Inuvialuit. And there are lots and lots and lots and lots.
Uaptiknik poyok to atunilibluilyon ni sko artidangit sibulinu takaud. Aku baka hisko kuminik tugut saksabame humilika kisko kuminik tok. Ubatamne Inuit okakto tawar poyo akigay jo kabut. Ubo bagut antanaw alo aktuguno laptikni. Saksabame board kaktugut education. Ubo kautigupti score wig putuna bagut. Inupetor hanya ilihaudik padik. Nutakadi sagutaka takpata grade 5 munagalano ni tayo lahilugit. Poyo kuminachu na alo tayo nakakatakia kakupak tayo na score aktahungan niya ating score teacher nakakalo ating scoring ni
attended a lot of language meetings, worked with a lot of language programs from one end of the territories to the other, to Alaska, and in all the schools that I visited and all the programs that I've seen, this is the only region where I see one language teacher per school. On the average, in our Kitakmud region where I work, there's at least 3 or 4 school or classroom assistants who teach the language program, and that depends on the size of the school or the community. Here we have in Inuvik, quite a big city, and only one Inuvialuit teachers.